If you've been checking out Gamingtrend for a while, then you know that I'm always looking for the thing that's going to take my flight simulator experience and elevate it to the next level. Well, today we have the next iteration of that, and that is the A107 Max overhead panel, a compact overhead panel for commercial aircraft from Rowsfire. I'm Ron Burke, editor-in-chief for Gamingtrend.com. Let's unbox this thing and hit the skies. Now, what in the world is this? Well, this has a 100 by 100 VESA mount, or VESA mount, however you want to pronounce it. And obviously, we're going to do exactly that. If this is going to be an overhead panel, I actually want it to sit overhead. Now, you could put this on a display stand, like a laptop stand, and it would work perfectly fine like that. But if we're going to do it, let's do it. Now, this is a mount from a company called Huanwo, and I swear by them. But you can't see off camera as there's actually another mount right over there that holds all of my camera equipment, like my monitors and also all of my audio equipment. So I swear by these guys. It's not a review for them, obviously, but what they do make is a great locking mechanism to ensure, if I can get this to spin around, to ensure that this stays locked in place. So I want to make sure that I've got something that I can lock in place and then rotate and put it exactly where I want it so I can have an overhead panel. And obviously I'm going to adjust this so it's angled down so I can use it as if it was an actual overhead panel. So when I say push my immersion to the next level, this is the level of insanity I intend to go. All right, we're jumping into the cockpit of the A320. We are in the most dangerous place we can be, which is on an active runway. Definitely not the place to do a tutorial, but hey, welcome to the sim. What I am going to show you is not a full cold start. Like I said, we're already on an active runway. The engines are already running. What I am going to show you is kind of the interaction between the panel and the game itself, or simulator, I should say. I'm not a pilot, so I'm not going to be able to give you, the real experience that a pilot would, but more of a layman's experience, which is perfectly fine. Everybody starts somewhere, right? So the first thing you're going to notice is the panel is fairly dark. You're going to come over here to the dome light, turn that on. You see that actuate right here. We saw the dome light. I'll go ahead and actuate it again. And I'm going to turn up the brightness. You'll see that the panel comes to life, as does the simulator's panel itself. It's now nice and bright. If this were dark outside, this would be a lot brighter. You might want to adjust it down. But we're sitting on a runway in Fort Worth, which is where I live. We are on DFW's runway, and we're going to focus here again on the panel. I'm going to run through I don't want to say checklist, it's more of a procedure, and just kind of go down the list here. Some of this stuff is going to make sense to do off of a cold start, some of it won't. But running down the checklist, battery 1 and 2 turn on. Well, obviously the batteries are on. We see those batteries turned on here. We're at 27.6 and 27.7. We see that matches here and here. We want that to be above 25, if I remember correctly. Again, not a pilot, but would love to be one day. I don't know if I'm going to be flying A320s, but I digress. External power on. Well, obviously we already are away from the gate, so we're not connected to the ground power units. We are running off of the aircraft's auxiliary power units and the batteries. Quiet, you already with a alarm dinging at me. All right, what we will do is turn on the lights. So external power on, parking brake on. Well, obviously we've got the parking brake set right now because we're sitting on the runway. Nav and logo lights. So that's going to be external nav and logo lights. That's right here. Turn those on. Then they're suggesting turn on the APU master. I mean, we can go through that process. I'm going to go ahead and turn on that master switch, and then I'm going to hit start. And when you do this, there is a procedure that kicks off. We're going to see that down here. And it does take a little bit of time for that to happen. The generator is going to bring up that APU, and what we're going to do is wait for it to go to green available, and you can see that starting to come up now. You can't immediately turn this, well, I suppose you probably could. There is a process that takes a little bit of time. You can see this climbing. When that goes to 100% and it hits this mark here, you'll see this switch here go from on to available. and that's when we know that we are fully powered up. And from there we can go ahead and do our APU bleed. So we'll give that just a little bit of time to come online, and then we'll continue down our flight plan checklist. Speaking of the flight plan, at this point I could actually come over here and file my flight plan. We're not going to do that today. This is not a flight plan checklist, but what you see now, we're at 100%. This now says available, so we can go ahead and do our APU bleed. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on, and you can see APU bleed has turned on here. So you know that's all been successful, and we can see that the match is over here available, and our APU bleed is set to on. So going down our checklist, next thing is to turn on the beacon lights. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Beacons turn on. Where you would disconnect from the GPU. Obviously, again, we're not sitting connected to a GPU. Oh, nasty weather's coming into Fort Worth. Yay! From here, we would turn all the fuel pumps on. Obviously, we have a started engine, so the fuel pump on doesn't make any sense. But it would be where we turn on our ignition. That's going to be down here. We would certainly come down here and turn this to ignition start. We would fire up engine 2, wait for it to come completely online. Well, I should say up to 60%, and then we would start engine 1, wait for it to come up to 60%, and then flip it to normal here. Now, that's not on this particular panel. There is a secondary panel for that, so if you really want to go down this this path, there is a panel that you could pick up that does match this one. You can grow this to be a full panel set, including flaps and everything else. So, you know, if this does kind of excite you into thinking, hey, I really want that full experience, know that you can further expand this. But for now, you would do that down here by simply looking at it and turning it on. Coming back up here, we're past all the engine stuff. So now we're going to want to turn on the probe/window heat. It does get cold at altitude, so we don't want our glass to frost over. If you come over here, there is a small piece of ductwork that blows hot air onto the glass, so we're going to want to turn that on. That's right here, but it's also right here. So turn that on, and that's going to heat that part of the glass. Anti-ice wing and engines. So this would be as required. You know, we're obviously sitting in Fort Worth, not exactly cold, but if we wanted to do that, we would certainly turn that on here. We can turn on the wings, and we can also de-ice the engines, and we turn that on here. Turn it on for you just for kicks and giggles. And we see those go through their startup process. They fault for just a second, and then they come online. From here, going down the list, we'd set our transponder frequency. We're going to go ahead and move past that. That would be your squawk. We turn on the transponder, brakes check, flap check, skid check, and we're going to turn on the nose light from here. Nose light is right here. Turn that to on. If it were dark outside, we would see that nose light a little more clearly, but you kind of see it illuminate right around here. If you were sitting at the gate, you would see that, you know, obviously light up the gate itself. From there, we're going to go ahead and turn on the runway turn light. So come over here, runway turn light. That's over here on the left. Turn that on, and we see that again. We see that actuate right here. You can see that all the way to the left over here. I guess I can show you that nose light as well. Park brake turned off. Again, this is something you could do with a secondary panel. We're going to simply turn it off here. Know that that is going to turn off the brakes. So if you have your throttle set to a forward position, you will start taking off. So yep, you can see that we're actually starting to creep forward just a little bit. We're going to ignore that for just a moment. Radar system mode. So you would find that, I'm not sure if that's on this panel or not. Yeah, not on this panel. I don't believe. Yeah. Okay. So you're not going to find that here, but you would turn that on a secondary panel. From here, we're going to go down to landing gear, positive climb. Yep. At that point, we're literally taking off. So you can see you've gone through a startup position setup here. There are other things that you can turn on. Obviously, with the weather coming in, we can turn on the wipers, and we can turn those on and off. If this was an expanded panel, there's a secondary wiper over here as well for your co-pilot. They're welcome to turn that on as they see fit. But from there, we're ready to take off. So this obviously isn't a tutorial on how to take flight, but you do have everything at your fingertips to do exactly that on this panel, and we've done exactly that. So this overhead panel does approximate a lot of the real world examples up here. There are a couple of other things that you can simulate. I'm going to scroll up just a little bit here. We do have an APU fire, engine fire, 1 and 2. So if you were to have an in-flight emergency, you can open this panel and extinguish a fire and deploy the agent. You would obviously want to test those before you take off. There is a test button right here to be able to test those to ensure that you are good to go. You can see it's going to do a quick discharge test to make sure that you are good to go, just in case you wanted to simulate an emergency. You can do exactly that. And I wanted to point out that if you can't hear it, these do have a very clicky sound. It does give you a very tactile response, almost like the real thing, or at least as far as I know. I've never gotten to actually sit in an A320 in the pilot seat. When I was a kid, I did get to sit in the jump seat and watch all of this happen in real time. It's what kind of interested me in flight. I'm going to guarantee that's what led me to the Air Force. So, if this is inspiring you similarly, well, you can really kind of live your pilot's dream, even if it's virtually. There are ways to do all of this with virtual reality as well. I highly encourage you to embrace that. It is an amazing experience. There are some add-ons you can put in place for VR where when you look up at the panel, it does kind of do a cutout so you can see the physical panel here, as well as in VR it kind of does that cutout. You can hit your buttons and then have it cut back to your regular VR when you look at those panels. So that's just a brief overview of this panel. Again, this is a pretty comprehensive look at all of these things that are approximated in the panel. You've got over here your navigation. Those are 1, 2, 3 right here. IR 1, 3, and 2. You bring those up 1, 2, 3, just like that. I'm going to go ahead and fault them just so you can see what happens. You can see we're going to start seeing alarms over here. We can see the panel start to go offline. Yep, things start screaming. So we're going to bring those up 1, 2, 3, and we should see the faults clear in just a moment here. I'm going to go ahead and clear them manually. In theory. All right. Probably not, again, a good thing to do on the runway, but you can start to see how these interact with the simulator itself. IR not aligned, position disagree, excess motion. Yeah, because we're in motion on the runway. So you can start to see how this can begin to take your flight experience from the basics of kind of poking at it inside Flight Simulator to doing it for real, and you can take this as far as you want. From a cold start, you'd be engaging the pumps, you'd be turning on the batteries. I mean, if you want to turn on your seat belts and no smoking signs, here's your all call. You can hear that familiar sound as you talk to the people that are in your aircraft. Emergency exit lights. It's all here for you to have as little or as much engagement as you want, and have as much or as real of an experience as you want. And it all starts with this overhead panel that does bring a lot of what you see here into this very compact system. Again, it's not meant to be a comprehensive look at the panel, but it does kind of go over all the things that you can do with it, and it's just the start. If we scroll up from here, there are a lot more things that we could be simulating, from the breaker panel to obviously down here we have we're now rolling into the grass. Good times. Complaints are going to start coming from the aircraft shortly, but you have panels like this that can be brought to life as well. If we ever do get those panels, I will gladly show them to you, but this is a very complex piece of equipment, and can be made a lot more tactile and real if you simply wish it to be. So thank you for watching this small portion. I'm sure I've done a poor job of doing it justice as we roll on to the auxiliary runway here, and the ATC's like, what in the wild world of sports are you doing over there? For crying out loud, please stop before you kill somebody. So again, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if not, at least I hope it was entertaining. Thanks for watching. So there you have it. That's our unboxing and review of the A107 Max Overhead panel from Rowsfire. Now, I've been playing with this for a couple of weeks, pretty extensively, and I can already tell that this is going to hold up for a very long time. It's clear that Rowsfire has put a great deal of engineering time and effort into this device. It's sturdy from one end to the other. It should hold up for a very long time. Now, is that going to make me a better pilot? Absolutely not. That's what practice is for. Is it going to make that practice so much more fun? Absolutely. I've had a blast playing with this. It has been just this tactile experience that I didn't expect. Whether I'm in VR or not in VR, having physical switches that I can hit and simulate being in a real cockpit has been amazing. If you're my age, you grew up in a time when the pilot could invite you into the cockpit, show you everything in there, perhaps even take off with you in the jump seat, and you left with a little pair of plastic wings. I know I did, and I've been chasing that ever since. I'm Ron Burke, Editor-in-Chief for Gamingtrend.com. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you on the next one.